and welcome to Introduction to Mobile XPages Development, a video blog series at pauldn.com. Part 1, Overview of Mobile XPages Development. This video series is based on our Mobile XPages Development course available for purchase from tlcc.com. This slide shows the XPages skill path, which I covered in detail in Part 7 of my Introduction to XPages Development blog series. If you haven't tried our free XPages course or viewed the Intro to XPages series, you may want to do that now before continuing with this mobile XPages series. So to develop the skills to mobilize your existing Domino applications, you want to take this course, our Mobile XPages Development course, and there's a Release 8.5 and a 9 version of that course. In terms of prerequisite skills, yes, you've developed Notes applications, and yes, you are familiar with the Domino object model and classes. And for XPages prerequisites, yes, you know JavaScript, and yes, you have your basic XPages development skills as well. Here we see a comparison of the two main types of mobile applications. Native apps are distributed via an application store like iTunes or Google Play and are stored locally on the device. They can access data that is stored locally or remotely from the internet. They are programmed using specific SDK for the device, like Objective-C for iOS devices and Java for Android devices. They can work offline when the data is stored locally, and the SDK allows for access to the device's specific features and functions. At the other end of the spectrum, for application types, we see our mobile web application types. These are deployed via a web server, like a Notes application running on a Domino web server, and they are accessed using a web browser on the device. They require a constant connection as both the application and the data are stored on the server. These web applications are developed using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and this for the most part is handled for you when using the mobile controls in Domino Designer. In terms of tools and development environments, you have many to choose from. There are mobile modules in the popular JavaScript toolkits. There are mobile application frameworks, many based on HTML5 and JavaScript, and these will convert your code to the native apps for the various devices, and then they can be distributed and deployed via the application store like iTunes or Google Play. Then there are the mobile development environments specifically designed for mobilizing your Domino applications like Team Studio's Unplugged, and the Bootstrap for XPages library for responsive web development that is now available in the latest versions of the OpenNTF extension library, and the mobile controls that are available natively in Domino Designer 9. And that's the focus of this blog series. The system requirements for using the mobile controls will depend on the release you're developing for. If you're running 8.5.3, the mobile controls are available when you also install the Domino 8.5.3 Upgrade Pack 1 or the OpenNTF extension library for Domino 8.5.3. With release 9.0, the extension library and the mobile controls were rolled right into the product, so there's no other system requirements. There were several enhancements to the mobile controls and support with release 9.0.1, so you certainly want to upgrade to the latest release if you're not already there. The mobile controls support the WebKit-based browsers that you'll find on iOS, Android, and the later BlackBerry devices. There are two requirements to enable an application to use the mobile controls. First, enable the extension library in the XSP properties for the application. You'll find the XPage library section on the Page Generation tab in the XSP properties file. And second, on the General tab in the XSP properties, you'll need to check off this option to use the mobile themes for any XPage with this prefix. M underscore is the default prefix setting, but you can override this with your own prefix setting. Notice the result for the two settings in the source for the XSP properties file. The XSP library depends equal line is a result of enabling the extension library on the Page Generation tab. Looking at these last two properties, we see that the One UI version 2.1 theme and styles will be used with all of the XPages in this application, except any XPage that begins with the M underscore prefix. For any XPage beginning with M underscore, the mobile themes and styles will be used. One key consideration when developing for mobile devices is how to test your application. One approach is to test your application using the actual devices and a Domino testing server. Although this is hands down the best approach, it can be time consuming and you may not have access to all of the different mobile devices and tablets. Another approach is to use the mobile device simulator or emulator that is part of the SDK that you're designing for. This can also be quite time consuming to set up and to use as well. A much faster approach is to simply preview the XPage using your desktop WebKit browser, like your Chrome browser or Firefox or Safari, and then spoof the different devices by appending a $platform equals iPhone if you want to spoof and use the styles for the iPhone device, or Android to use the styles for Android devices, and BlackBerry to use the style sheets for BlackBerry devices. A variation of this is to use the XPages mobile simulator page, which has tabs and code to render your mobile application spoofed for the 3 supported device types, all on a single XPage. This mobile sim.xsp XPage was first made available in the extension library demonstrations application, and we've incorporated it into the demo and activity applications in our mobile XPages course. Now here in my workspace, I can see the applications that are used to deliver our mobile XPages development course. So there's a lessons database, there's a discussion database to post your questions, and then some activity databases where we deliver the demonstrations and activities. Most of the demo and activity XPages are actually in the workbench with the customers, parts, and sales serving as data sources. Now, so more of you can follow along, even if you do not have the mobile XPages development course yet, you can follow along with that free intro to XPages development course. There is a customer's application there that you can use as a data source. And I'm actually going to extend that design.nsf. I'm going to work in that design.nsf that I created in the intro to XPages series. So you can simply follow along by creating your mobile XPages in that same design.nsf. Now here in Designer, I can see the XPages that I created in the Intro to XPages series. I can see that customer by name and customer document. And let me just preview that to preview the kind of application we're going to be doing in this mobile XPages series. So we have a view that's showing the customers by name view, and we can open up one of these, the Green Meadows, and we can see in another XPage customers document XSP the contents of that document, showing the Green Meadows information. And we can open up another one, Las Vegas Golf Course, to see the information on that particular customer. Okay, back here in Designer, I've copied over into Design NSF a couple of XPages, Mobile Sim, which provides that mobile simulator XPage so that I can take a look at what my mobile application looks like in a spoofed in a iPhone device or spoofed in a BlackBerry or a Android device. So I've copied that over. I've also copied over this XPage here, Mobile Demo 141. And let me go ahead and preview that to see what this looks like spoofed for a mobile device, and this is not looking that great right now. And I haven't set up my Design NSF application with the appropriate requirements to use the mobile themes and style sheets. So not that none of this is working, and it doesn't look very good either. So let me do that step. So once again, here in Designer, going into the application configuration XSP properties file, and on the Page Generation tab, one of the requirements is check this off. It's already checked off to use the extension library. And that'll automatically be checked off and enabled the first time you use any control from the extension library. So that's already enabled. The other requirement on the General tab is to check off this option, use mobile theme for XPages with this prefix. Now, the XPage that I want to preview with the mobile themes is called Mobile Demo 141. So I'm going to change that default prefix to mobile. Okay, so that says, oh, let's try that again. So that says any XPage that begins with the mobile prefix. Let's take a look at that in the source. Okay, mobile prefix. I'm going to use the mobile themes instead. So let's try again to preview that XPage. I'm going to save this. So with my XSP properties save, once again, when I preview that mobile demo 141 XPage, which has that same mobile prefix, I get a very different result. Now I'm using Chrome here, so I get sort of the Android look and feel, but this can be spoofed by adding the platform equals, already done this, so platform equals iPhone, and now spoofing it so that my desktop browser now appears to be an iPhone, and it's using the iPhone themes and style sheets instead. In fact, when I do a Control-Shift-I to open up my Chrome Developer Tools, I'll find somewhere here, let me see if I can expand this a little bit, somewhere here in the head of my page, I'll see some sort of reference to the iPhone device. And if I spoof that with BlackBerry, once again, I'll see some sort of an indication of using the BlackBerry style sheets instead. BlackBerry, custom BlackBerry CSS, and same for Android. Okay, and using custom Android.css style sheets. So that's a great way to quickly test using just your desktop web browser, any WebKit browser. In this case, I'm using Chrome. Now, another great way to test is using that mobile simulator that came out of the extension library, and we've included in the course and the instructions on how to move over the requirements to use this mobile simulator to test any XPage. So I can see the page I'm testing is Mobile Demo 141, and I can see it in portrait and landscape mode for my iPhone, spoofing it as an iPhone device, or spoofing it as an Android device, or spoofing as a BlackBerry device. So once again, a very quick way to test out your application. Returning to Designer, I can see that Mobile Sim XPage. That's the one with the 3 tabs that provides the simulator, but there are other components involved. There are frames for the Android, BlackBerry, and iPhone on those 3 tabs, and there are a number of image resources as well. And again, the course describes how to move those resources into any application so you can use this very useful testing tool. Returning to our slides, I'm going to give a quick overview of the mobile controls available on the controls palette. The mobile controls use the SPA or single page application architecture. That means that all of the mobile pages in your application will all be contained within a single XPage. And that's what we see in this graphic. Within the XPView start tag and XPView end tag for the XPage, we see the start and end tags for the single page application control. Now, inside the single page application tags, we see that 2 application page tags were added. The view page to display the customer names from the customer by name view, and the document page application page to display the customer details when a customer name is touched on the view page. The page heading control is used to create a page heading, which can also include a back button to return to a previous page within the application. The rounded list control is a container control, and into that you're going to add one or several rounded list item controls, and these are typically used to navigate to one of the other mobile pages within the application. The tab bar is also a container control, and into that you're going to add one or several tab bar button controls, each coded to provide some specific function on the page. The toggle switch control can be added to provide a toggle switch UI control that you found in many mobile apps, commonly used to enable or disable a setting or a feature within the application. Okay, so the first mobile application to build will have a single application page to display some static text, "Hello, mobile world." So here in design.nsf, my container for my XPages and related resources, I'm going to review my XSP properties, and to use the mobile themes, I'm going to create XPages with this prefix, mobile. So creating a new XPage with the prefix mobile. Hello, and OK. And the first thing I'm going to add to my XPage, and just let's take a quick look at the source here. So I have my view, XP view, and end XP view tags to start and end my XPage. So first thing I'm going to add is a single page application. So I'll drag that from the mobile palette. And into that, I'm going to drag a application page. So this green dot is a target area to drag child facets within a particular control. So we're going to drag in an application page. And I can start typing text here, but I actually wouldn't take it there. I can switch over to the source and Control-Shift-F just to reformat my source. And I can see the structure of my application. I've got a single X page, of course, mobile hello, with a start and end tag for the X page. And then I have the start and end tag for my single page application control. And within that, I have a single application page. So I'm going to add some breaks. And I'm going to use the XPage breaks. Maybe just a couple of lines. And after that, some static text. And that's all I really need. So let's preview that and see if that worked for me. And that's looking a little sparse right now. I'm not seeing my hello mobile world. So back to Designer. And I see I have an error. I see in my problems view there is an error. I see an indication in my source where the error is, and some additional details here in the problems view. So required property selected page name for single page app control is not present. So one required property for your single page application, I'm going to the all properties view for that, is the selected page name, which is the page of the several application pages that can be within your mobile application, the page to open first. So that makes sense. So first I need to give that page a name. So selecting my application page control, and I'm going to go to the page name property and just call this the hello page. And then when I select my single page application control, the selected page is hello page. And I will save that, and my problems go away. And when I preview, much better. And kind of a dark screen. So let me put that into my mobile simulator. And seeing what it looks like on an iPhone rendered with the iPhone style sheets, or on an Android device or a BlackBerry device. Okay, returning to Designer, I'm going to create another mobile page. called mobile, my prefix, nav. Just want to explore some of the other mobile controls and the navigation features that some of those controls provide. So here in my new mobile nav X page, once again, must start with a single page application, so I'll add that. And this is going to have 2 pages. So we're going to add a application page and going to attempt to add another application page. Now it's not that green dot. And here's where I really do like to get away from the design editor and in the source editor. I'm not sure I'm getting it in the right spot. Am I getting it in the second location first? So let me just cancel that. Go into my source and Control-Shift-F. Okay, and I can also see in the outline I've got my X page, I've got my single page application, and now I have one application page within that, and I'm going to add a second one. So here in the source, so much easier to just add it there. And then I want to indicate, which of my 2 pages I'm going to open first. So first I need to give these each a page name. So I'll call this one page 1. And for the second one, I can select here as well. I'm going to call that page 2. And then for my selected page application control, in its properties, the page to open first is page 1. Okay, so I've got the structure of my 2-page navigation. Now, one control that I'm going to add to both of these is a header. So the purpose of the page heading is to provide a page heading for your various pages. So we're going to add one there, and we're going to add one here as well. And again, Control-Shift-F. And for this heading, going to the properties and providing a label, that's going to be your title or header. So we'll call this one page 1. And for our second page, its header label will be page 2. Okay, so I want to get from page 1 to page 2. Well, let's just test that out and see what we have so far. So things are working quite nicely. I can get to page 1. I can't get to page 2. So going to work on that part. So into or after the header, into page 1, I'm going to add some rounded list items. Now, to do that, first I need this container control, this rounded list control. So we'll add that. And into that, I'm going to add a rounded list item. Okay, so here we are. And in the all properties, I can set a label for that rounded list item. And we're going to say P1 to P2. This is going to provide some navigation to page 2. And let me just resize my limited screen here. I want to move to the Move To property where I want to go. I want to go to page 2. That's the name of that page. And there's some other properties here. One that's interesting is the transition. So I've got 4 choices here: slide, fade, flip, and none. So I'm going to choose slide here. And in the right text, I'm going to just indicate what type of transition I used for that particular one. And I'm going to explore some of the other ones, but here, just working in the source, just going to copy all of the code for that single line item and paste it a couple of times. So we've got our first one where we're using the slide navigation. And then for our second one, we're going to go with the transition of fade and And for the next one, we're going to go with flip. I believe I'm missing one. Okay, so I can get to page 2, but how to get back? So selecting from the outline, and I find that when I'm working with the mobile controls, I am working with these views. I'm working with the outline view to select the various controls, working in the source editor and in the all properties. You notice there are very few other tabs available and very few properties available, just the rendered property for the application page control and for most of these controls. So these are the views that I tend to be working with when developing a mobile application. So I want to get back to page 1 from page 2 here. So in the heading, there are some navigation capabilities. There's something called a back property, which is simply the label for the back functionality. So I might give it the label back. And this is the, I guess, action for that back label, okay, where we want to move to. And we want to move to page 1. So let me save all of those changes and preview that. And once again, let me just move that into my mobile sim XPage, my mobile XPage simulator. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing page 1 here, and I'm seeing my rounded list container control, and I see 4 rounded list items, each of these with different right text labels. This one is going to slide to page 2, and on page 2 I can see I have a back button, which is moving to, its move to property set to page 1. Let me try some of these other ones. So this is the fade to page 2 and the flip to page 2, kind of neat. And none is simply immediately open that addressed page. That concludes this part 1 of our Intro to Mobile XPages series. In this part, I covered selected topics from modules 1 and 2 in our Mobile XPages course. In the next part, I'll be focusing on module 3, specifically how to display Domino documents and Domino views in a mobile XPage application. So until then, so long for now.